another exciting episode of Token Podcast, Special RPG Edition. Today, I'm joined by he whose RPG knowledge knows no bounds, unless it's a computer RPG, a one Officer 9000 plus one.
More than just computer RPGs. Hey, how you doing?
I said with the exception of computer RPGs.
Oh, I know plenty of those too.
Yes, just ruin your own intro. Next up, we have they who knows no allergy. They who is unbound by restrictions because they have insurance and all the medication one could need for allergy season. A one honeybee.
Hi, how's it going, everybody? Just dying over here. It's no big deal.
I definitely empathize with the allergy thing.
I have no allergies.
Rough. Fuck you.
Lucky you.
God.
I only say it so people can say that one response. I should probably stop.
Fucking God damn it.
And I'm joined by the one magician who is above all, coffee drinker supreme himself, Dr. Strange's daddy, a one Jupiter exile.
Hey there, thanks for having me.
Okay, now, as if this title didn't already give it away, today is a very unique situation for the podcast. Possibly for the first time ever, we're going to have an entire episode devoted to a singular genre. For the record, it's not a competition, so if your favorite brand and flavor of RPG wins, congratulations, it wasn't a competition. As Stan Lee, the Great, would put it, here's your no prize. We will be trying to figure out, for lack of a better term, which RPG is the most fun, and we'll be keeping track of that score via a whiteboard that is technically some shade of pinkish purple. The categories listed for those of you who are looking in the podcast and don't have a video is action RPG, turn-based, tabletop, strategy, and real-time. There will be honorable mentions such as but not limited to LARPing and MMORPGs. So, Honeybee, what's your favorite flavor of RPG?
Oh god, so my favorite flavor? Honestly, God, I was gonna say strategy, but then I saw that tabletop is on there. So I'm gonna have to give it to tabletop. I know a very predictable fucking answer from the Dice Goblin over here.
Yeah, fun fact, Exile. Honeybee owns over 110 fucking dice for no reason.
Actually, do you want to know what it's up to
sounds
now?
like a very
No,
normal
I
number
don't.
of
I do
dice.
not need to have ear cancer.
You don't need to know how much it's up to now, because I got more.
Yeah, I know.
If
That's
you-
why I don't want to know.
Do you
In
keep
the
them in a Crown
200s.
Royal bag like every other
Oh,
nerd?
no. Not individual dice. I mean full sets of dice.
I said hundreds. I wasn't joking.
Okay, that's a
full
I
sets.
The old DM for my Saturday tabletop group, he ended up getting a dice bag made out of leather that he could basically put over his head, kind of like an executioner's hood. And it is chock full of dice. I honestly don't know how many he has, and I don't think he knows either.
I don't know how
Probably
you
had a
keep
few
track of the
hundred.
dice you like with that.
Because I know all of my dice. I give them little names. Those are my children. This is my fucking dragon horde.
And
You
this
think
is-
I don't know what I have in my own goddamn horde?
And you now understand why we don't ask them questions about dice anymore.
It's true. It's fucking true. But yeah, no, I have lots of reasons for choosing tabletop. Chief among them, the fact that there is so much more you can do in a tabletop RPG because a lot of it is your imagination and there's absolutely no fucking limit to what you can do with your imagination unless you suck as a person, as a human being. And I enjoy that.
Damn, that was just- Real unabashedly, he's like, oh, you can't figure out what to do? Fuck you, you suck. God damn.
Yeah, you suck. Get good. Honestly. Use that imagination. It's what they were trying to teach you in school. At least in elementary school before you went to middle school, and then bullies absolutely crushed that out of you.
Oof.
Anyway. That's enough of trauma dumping for now. No, I like that there is absolutely no limit in that particular genre. Everything else, there's only so much you can do. The only limit for a tabletop game is your imagination. And sure, your DM and their particular rule set, but if you're in my campaign, I operate under the rule of cool. So,
would you like to go into more details about that?
what? The rule of cool? The rule of cool. If it is cool enough, I will fucking allow it, or I will let you try. I will let you roll for it if I think it is cool enough. If I think it sounds dumb as shit and like not really that exciting, I'll be like, you can do better than that. But if it's cool, then I will throw my rule books into the fire. We'll cast them into the fires of Mordor.
So that's 1 point for. Let's see. Let's use yellow. Yeah, that'll work. That is 1 point for tabletop. And I do not actually know how to mark this goddamn thing. Oh shit! I just copy pasted it twice.
Whoa, that looks.
Can you get into the text box and just add like a capital I's next to things?
Oh,
Well,
yeah. Well,
there you go.
Oh, you found it.
How the
There's
fuck
a little
did you
That
do
was
that?
me.
draw icon.
I just went to the little crayon icon. I chose yellow and I drew
That's what I tried to do. Okay.
like this.
Whatever you do, don't do a penis. I'm tired of people drawing a penis every time we go to this white
I
person.
am not a barbarian, thank you. I'm a fucking wizard.
Okay, don't draw a whimsical penis. Moving on. All right. Officer, you can go next.
Honestly, I think I'm also going to have to give it to tabletop for largely similar reasons. The creativity of the players and the DM can allow things to go to so many more levels of creativity and just doing things differently.
Oh man, I
That,
hurt so many feelings.
Doing things differently than your action or your turn-based or even strategy RPGs. Though, I guess actually it's more of a sort of tie between tabletop and strategy, because you can have a tabletop RPG that is turned into a strategy RPG. Such examples being the Owlcat games, Wrath of the Righteous, and Kingmaker from Pathfinder, or the 5th edition based Baldur's Gate 3. Though, again, they have certain limitations into them inherent because, well, it's hard to take the level of creativity one can get with tabletop RPGs and put them into a full-on strategy RPG. You can't plan for the strange things wizards can do with certain spells. Or even unintended things that maybe the rules haven't really accounted for. That's how are you going to program that? So
Easily.
yeah, I would put it as it is. One for strategy RPG, one for tabletop, because they're both pretty equal for me.
Before we go too far into this, I don't know how much clarification real time needs, but it's one of those, it's exactly what it sounds like. I'm not sure how many people have experimented with them or come across them, but essentially it's a game where every player is simultaneously doing something at all times. There's no we take turns. Everything happens until there's a direct conflict and two players have to assault each other. I believe the original name for it was War RPG, although it didn't have to be a war scenario. But if no one knows what it is, hey, just pretend it's not there.
They recently released, what was it called? Unicorn Overlord, I think it was? Or, no, Geofield Chronicles would be a good example of that. That was the one, yeah, Geofield Chronicles. Was
Okay, just making
exactly
sure.
what you just described there. But I would say, actually, honestly, for me, it's a three-way tie because turn-based is definitely in there as well because very often your tabletop games are also turn-based.
So
But if you
turn-based,
prefer,
in this particular instance, has to do with the digital/virtual world, not the physical. That being said, hey, look, I'm not dividing your point up in three places. The goal was to figure out a winner. You can't be splitting everything up evenly, man.
all right, then remove my vote from strategy over to turn-based.
Nah, I'm good. Anything else you want to add?
Okay. Honestly, not much more. If we're picking a favorite, I'm pretty set in stone there.
Okay, Exile, take your belt off and start beating ass.
I should have asked to go first because I wanna like mix up your whole category system. Because in the world of
I
gaming,
knew he was gonna do it. I knew it.
action means real time in video gaming. I spend way too much time thinking about what genres are which. And when you're talking about video games, these are the same.
That's fine. I'm
Strategy
okay with that.
is also the term for when you move around little guys. So strategy would be like your command and conquer type of thing. So most of the time that wouldn't be an RPG, but if it's something like Final Fantasy Tactics,
Final
that is a
Fantasy
tactics
Tactics,
RPG.
XCOM, literal
Mhm.
games that have written on their box they are strategy RPGs.
It should say tactics on the box. It's a difference of scale. If you have like 6 to 10 guys, that's tactics. If you have 20 to 50 guys, that gets to strategy. My favorite, ultimately, though, is probably just the classic turn-based, talking about your classic Chrono Triggers, Final Fantasies, so on and so forth. And that's mostly because action and RPG are kind of at odds. The more action systems you put into your RPG, the less it can lean on the RPG, and the more RPG systems you put in, the less the action matters. And there's a few examples that are good points of this. If you play Warframe, or if you've played Warframe, if you get to the late game of it, the RPG systems mostly take over. You're not doing very much in the action sphere anymore, and most of the game is about grinding. And when you talk about an RPG, the ability to grind and get stronger, in terms of video gaming RPGs, is very core to it, for the most part. Within turn-based games, you have some that are well-balanced enough that you can't level up beyond a certain degree, you can't progress beyond a certain amount of power when you need to meet certain challenges, like Baldur's Gate 3 is a great example. You can only level up so much, you can only equip so many items, and that preserves a good level of challenge. But I find that turn-based scenarios are the ones where, turn-based or tactical, are the ones that have some of the best expression of skill, the best ability for the player to turn their knowledge into success, and thus the best difficulty scaling. You can make them really, really hard because the character, the player, has a lot of opportunity to showcase their ability. And the reason why I rate this a little better than tabletop, for my opinion, is that there is a non-arbitrary challenge there. Tabletop is great fun, but it's not the same experience as gaming for me. It's not the same kind of thing. And there's a lot of mixed tabletop experiences where you're dealing with some people who are, let's be honest, not the most fun people to be around. And this is a big variety of experience within tabletop. You don't necessarily know what you're in for. I have some great sessions, and I've had some sessions that suck. But if it's a tactical RPG or a turn-based RPG, I know what the challenge is. It's what's laid out by the developers. I can, come at it with a different team, but if I lose, that's on me. It's not on the dice. It's not on the people at the table. If there's a puzzle out there, it exists in a brute way, and I don't have to wait for players to get it and give them hints and be kind of loosey-goosey about it. It's just there, and I appreciate that very much.
That wasn't as bad of an ass whooping as I was expecting. I don't even have a bruise.
Yeah, that was a really
Well thought out answer.
yeah, really concise. Damn.
Everything I do is well thought out.
Yes, that's why you're Doctor Strange. Man, I'm so glad there's a Marvel tabletop RPG. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna find a way to make him play Doctor Strange in it one day.
I
Okay,
should play my own character.
as long as he looks like Doctor Strange.
Okay, he can look like Doctor Strange, but he's going to have the quote-unquote power set of the question from DC.
So no
Which is-
powers at
nope.
all? That's kind of
Yeah.
boring.
No powers, detective bullshit.
Oh, that's Batman then.
Well, I mean, Batman has... Batman,
Money.
He doesn't have powers, but he's got powers. He's got
Yes,
the
he's
Charles
called
Atlas
money.
power. Yeah.
Not even got a
He's
joke
also
about it. It's
unrealistically physically fit. Yep.
legitimate. My favorite part though is that you know you have a lot of power when you can get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame without existing. That's power.
That's pretty good.
Oh my god. Oh, for the listeners out there who, the few of you from different countries, yes. Batman now has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That being said, let's be honest, that Walk of Fame hasn't really represented celebrity status in a long time. Now it's just a popularity contest. Yeah, let's move that over some, please. Thank you. So for me, it's a two-way tie. And unlike some people, I'm going to consistently tell you why it is. And I'm going to make sure, I don't add anything extra at the last minute. Not saying no names.
Oh yeah, we can probably erase my markings. I don't know how to do that though.
No, they're fine. I mean, they're going to see them in the video regardless. Okay, so it is action RPG and it is strategy. But while I'm here, I'm going to take this time to humble some other genres. Yes, that's the word. Humble. So, first and foremost, wait, oh yeah, I forgot to put your point up there. Jupiter. There we go.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, first and foremost, the thing about an action RPG is that it's one of the few formats of RPGs that can briefly emulate or simulate, I'm not sure what the proper term would be, other types of genres not relating to RPG, as well as slightly dipping its toe. Let me ask you something. Everyone here has played an action game, an action RPG, where they came across a monster and you decided to fuck around and found out you weren't gonna beat its ass. That's happened to everybody, right?
Yeah,
Monster
that's-
Hunter.
Yeah, I guess you can count Monster Hunter. Yeah, so
Yeah.
here's the thing though. Imagine, if you will, you sat down and decided, you know what? I'm gonna go fight lesser enemies. I'm also gonna build up my own equipment. And I'm gonna do everything in my power to make myself stronger so I can go beat that thing up. Now that I know how it fights, I get its stats possibly from an item that lets you scan, and you know its weaknesses, and then you beat its ass, even if it's not relating to the story.
Monster Hunter.
I swear, I know that's not the only RPG you play. What the fuck?
It's a perfect example for what you just described.
Okay. So yeah, it's still an action game. Or you can also go the alternate route. You can sit there, duck and dodge everything because you know you a glass cannon. He got to hit you one time and it'll fuck your life up, but you got to hit him like 10,000 times for him to even acknowledge your existence. Both methods work. You know why? Because that's the cool thing and the beauty about an action RPG. An action RPG can simultaneously lift you up for working within its system and using your mind via the beat up lesser enemies, get stronger equipment, learn how the monster fights, but it also can reward you, as Exile knows shit better than most people. You can go in there Elden Ring style, have the weakest shit on or be underpowered and just duck and dodge and weave Ultra Instinct style until that thing dies. and get a massive payoff earlier than you ever would have, or you only get if you actually put forth the effort into creating this monstrosity of a character you have. I like that.
Reminds me that your mention of that reminds me of this one player in Elden Ring who he super specialized himself into just being able to beat Millennia.
Yeah, he walks around with a pot on his head and in diapers and just 2 swords. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like I said, you have the option of going into an action game, but since there's RPG elements, messing around with it to modify and customize yourself to where you can break things, or you just become a character who, despite their weakness, can overpower stronger enemies easily. Also, on top of that, the cooperativeness of it. Now, I know what you're thinking, but you can do cooperative in all these other games. You're right. But how many of them can I do it in real time? Also, I just want to point out there aren't enough real-time RPGs in general. Fuck. And if they are, they're usually MMO related, which I'm kind of, well, we would honorably mention it later, but that'll come later, as mentioned. So it's the fact that you have the choice. Almost every modern RPG or self-proclaimed RPG that's come out that wasn't, I don't know, a live service game, that word we all hate so much, you've had that choice. Y'all are making this a very interesting video for YouTube, I swear. So that's why I like it. And then there's the rare opportunities, and I do mean exceedingly rare, where you can actually experiment with this type of stuff with a second or tertiary player. So now it's a team RPG that just happens to be action. Let's keep it from the center of the screen, please. Thank you. So fucking here I am, like, growing up and seeing the difference, because I came during the RPG boom, and despite what people think, RPGs boomed twice. They boomed in the late 80s and they boomed all the way until like around, the early 2000s, maybe mid 2000s, depending on who you ask. So I enjoyed both formats. I got to see turn-based. I got to see it thrive. I got to see it have $1 million budgets put behind it. But I also got to see the uprise of the action RPG. And I got to see the same stuff for the action RPG world. And I didn't look back, by the way. But when it comes to the second placeholder in my heart, strategy RPGs, I love that because I've had many friends tell me, quote unquote, I think you're smart, quote unquote, I know you're smart. I just don't know how smart or how dangerous and lethal you can be. I knew he was going to show up at some point in time in this video. I fucking knew it. So believe me when I tell you, when I finally get to show that off to people who actually care about RPGs and strategy RPGs, I feel like I'm a kid explaining to their parents what they want for Christmas. It's like, hey Billy, why do you like that stuff so much? Why do you like them there Power Rangers? Which one's your favorite Power Rangers? They're basically fishing for information and you're losing your shit just because mommy, daddy like the same thing I do, or they're pretending to. Bro, that's what happens when I play a strategy RPG. I'm gonna give you 2 examples because we could be here all day over just one of these games. The legend itself, the one that died and was revived, XCOM 2. Who here knows of the tales of XCOM?
It's a good game.
Excellent game.
So everyone except Honeybee. Okay. All right. So XCOM is a game, XCOM 2, where every single stage, I think except for boss fight stuff, is generated, meaning it's never the same no matter where you go. On top of that, it's set in a modern-ish, alien-infused sci-fi setting of Earth. So you can actually apply some real-world logics and logistics to this game to complete your goal. And if you just explore on that stage, sometimes you can find other stuff to do, hidden items, or you can create a situation where you know where the enemies are, they haven't alerted anybody, and by the time one person sees you, you can wait for everybody else and take them out. Let me tell you how deadly you can be. By the way, everything about to be described is something I've done and is not something that came from a movie or hyperbole.
The shit you can do with Overwatch.
1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 of us. Cool. This is how it's gonna work. Exile, you're the sniper. You also have a sidearm, and you got good reflexes and high aim. Honeybee, you're the demolitions expert. I don't know why, I just think it would be funny to call you a demolitions expert. Officer, you are my ranger class. Your job is to sneak around, and you can hurt people with a short form sci-fi blade. And no, I don't mean Star Wars. And I, obviously, am the commander. So here's a basic stage. We're in a city, and in the middle of the city, there's a warehouse / factory where people are supposedly getting medical treatment, but they're actually being converted into slaves and future soldiers by these evil-ass aliens pretending that they're not. We need to get in there, take out the machines, steal anything that might have a value, and not hurt any civilians, and make sure civilians don't get turned into, slave-minded aliens trying to kill us. So you know what's gonna happen? There's a building that's almost as high. I send Exile up a tree, tell him to get to that other building, and I set him in the Overwatch mode. That basically means if he sees an enemy coming out in his immediate vicinity, he's going to react and shoot the bejesus out of them with a minimum of a 50 caliber gun. And he's got high accuracy. Now, Honeybee, I basically tell them don't move from your original starting position, which is somewhat off screen. Honeybee has the slowest amount of movement, but also can destroy buildings. Again, no hyperbole. Now, Officer, on the other hand, he's got his hack game straight, so he sneaks into the building. There's nobody around, but there's another enemy in the area, and they haven't been triggered yet. So I have him go around that enemy who starts hearing noises, go free a bunch of people, and then once that's over, the enemy's on its way back, there's no way for him to escape, I have him take that motherfucker out. Now, of course, that motherfucker set off an alarm because, modern era, they got walkie-talkies and shit, security cameras. And now the whole entire stage goes into oh shit mode. It's time to kill the player. So a helicopter comes in out of nowhere, filled with different enemy types. Some can do stealth, some can't do stealth. I know, and I'm gonna make sure you get this video when it's done. Some can't do stealth. So they show up, and one of them has the ability to do mind control, and one of them can just shoot from long range, and one of them is just an alien that's like cannon fodder. But they're all going towards Officer. But guess what? They run into that room. Exile's perched on the other side of the room. There's nothing he can do other than hide. He's in Overwatch mode, so now if someone walks in that room, he gonna take their ass the fuck out. They go in that room, and right when they get right up to the door, boom, since Exile is overhead, he activates his Overwatch automatically. So now, they could go fuck up Officer, because they know where Officer is, but now, they got somebody on a high building across the street who will take them out if they get anywhere near the door, and there's no windows for them to break into. So now, they start going after Exile. Exile moves away from them. They move further away from the building. So now guess what? While they're all focusing on Exile, here comes Honeybee around the corner as a demolitions expert. They get off of the building at the same time that I move Exile off of the building, and I literally have them collapse the building in while they're standing on the roof. Then I have an officer run out of his little hiding spot, and then I set everybody back in the Overwatch mode because one person, Exile is behind the corner of the building, the corner that's still there. Officer is now behind a bush or a tree in the area in Overwatch mode. And on the other side, and the only one who's exposed, technically, is Honeybee. But guess what? It doesn't matter. Because the minute those enemies move from outside of that building, no matter what entrance they're on, they're going to get seen. So temporarily, I put Honeybee's Demolisher on Overwatch, so if they come through the other side of the building where there's a door and a window, boom, know where they are. So no matter what happens, these guys are gonna get murked. And I get to notice, hey, if you don't get rid of them in 4 turns, they're gonna get backup because they like to keep you randomly guessing about what's gonna happen next. So now that the building's been busted up, I have Officer, now it's the enemy's turn. They decide to still go after. They decide to come out the building. You don't even know which characters they're going for. One person goes right and two people go left. What did I say about Overwatch mode? Reactive combat. So now, the guy that went to the right, where the corner building where Exile is, Exile says, "Hi, have you met my sniper rifle?" Boom! It looks like it likes you. And that motherfucker dead. Then they go past the Demolisher, who's on the other side of the building. Boom! They get exploded. But guess what? Officer is also in the line of sight. So they get a grenade on, they get an explosion on one side, and they get assault rifle shit on the other. Or I could make Officer run up and just say, "Nah, fuck your armor," and cut your ass. Because he has a laser sword upgrade. That's just one fucking scenario. That's just one scenario over millions that can happen in XCOM. Now let's go into Marvel Midnight Suns, starring Exile Strange. Everyone knows one of the best characters in this entire fucking game is Doctor Strange. But one of the other best, almost all the extremely good characters, which is, I hate that they do this, they don't want to give them to you until the halfway point of the game or near the end of the game. But once you get them, you immediately understand why, and you hate it. Because they could have just nerfed them and then made them powerful at the last minute instead. The Scarlet Witch is so fucking dangerous in this game. It's almost unfair. And this is coming from someone, again, who likes strategy games. So, as you know, or as a lot of people don't know, as fun as Marvel Midnight Suns is, and I recommend buying it, the game is essentially a strategy RPG, but your combat system is based on random chance attached to cards. You get 4 characters per stage, but you get 2 of their cards to show up in your hand and 2 bonus extra combo cards every single turn. So essentially you got a hand of 6, but there's 2 per character on screen. Oh, sorry, 8 per character on screen. Now, they can also affect the environment too, depending on what you do. So here I am, fighting for the umpteenth billionth time, and I fucking hated it. Mind-controlled Venom. Fuck mind-controlled Venom. He's not even hard. He just annoys me. Now, what makes Marvel Midnight Suns a little bit more unique than XCOM, besides the card game action combat stuff, is that your characters can sustain enough damage even if they don't die to where they could temporarily be hurt and injured and put out of the next battle. So even when you're strong, you have to be careful. And that's one of the things I like. No matter how powerful you get, your characters can still get damaged and wounded. So there's always an element of danger no matter what your level. That is a cool thing to do. That's why Heaven or Hell mode in Devil May Cry is both boring and scary. Because if it's boring, nothing hits you. And if it's scary, there's an enemy who can hit you. And remember, that's a one-shot kill mode. So in this fucking mode, this is almost verbatim what happened. I had to deal with another annoying, oh, here's Venom, creating his little Venom whatevers. But there was also a vampire horde on the stage. I hate when the vampire hordes come together with Venom. Here's something annoying that the vampire horde can do. They can actually spawn in real time. Yeah. And even after they spawn, if some of them aren't killed in 3 turns, there's like a 10% chance they'll turn into a super version of their own zombie vampire hybrid thing. And if they infect you, you lose HP when you try to attack. It is fucking annoying. You could fight 2 of them on screen, and if you're not paying attention, that 2 becomes 11. I'm not joking. 11.
Up to 11.
So, here was my team. I had Magic, X-Men fan. I'm obviously an X-Men fan. I had Scarlet Witch. I had Doctor Strange. Basically, I have almost an entire team of Magic people. I wanted to use Nico Robin, but not Nico. Wow, Nico Robin. I wanted to use Nico, who's like the other magician, but they recently got injured, even though I got perfect marks on the last fight. So they have to be in the heal tank for 24 hours. So I say, you know what? This team's looking a little bit too stereotypical. Let me throw in some X Factor energy on this. So I went and grabbed up my good homie, and everyone's good homie, Captain Marvel. So I call it Team Broken, because there's nothing you can do with this team that doesn't make you look broken. Right? Now here's a cool thing Captain Marvel can do. she can actually transform into that binary form that always gets mentioned in the comics and shows up in one of the video games. That's actually in the game. But here's how it works. It essentially gives her super armor, meaning she gets an extra layer of HP and she can't be knocked back, and she gets an automatic perfect counter. But the counter does almost as much or more damage than her normal attack does. And it's long range. So you basically, if you touch her, you're going to die. Right? That's her unique feature function. Oh, and she got super strength so she can move anything on the stage. Scarlet Witch, she literally can make enemies lose their fucking mind, go crazy, work for you, or she can explode energy out and you just gonna get hit in a 360-degree radius. And she can even buff up her own card's abilities to affect enemies just by not using her card, just by not attacking for a certain amount of turns. So essentially, we got a mind controller and we got a fucking tank that can fly with super strength. And we got Doctor Strange. And we all know what Exile can do if you give him time, preparation, and a spell book. And of course, we have Magic. Now, here's what a lot of people don't know about Magic. Magic looks like a sword fighter because she has a sword that is a fragment of her soul in it. You're not wrong. But Magic has two other things that almost no character can do. She can go into her own dimension freely and leave it or stay in it as long as she wants to. She can also transform into a state where she's nigh invulnerable. But most people don't know this about Magic because they're so used to seeing blonde, blue-eyed Russian girl who was for some reason portrayed by Anya Taylor-Joy. Not that I'm complaining, she did a good job. So in this game, she almost doesn't directly slash attack anybody. She makes portals, knocks you in them, and then makes you get hit by somebody else. You can literally create ping pong situations, or you can booby trap enemies to go in areas where they're nowhere near just to hit them with something from the stage. Did I mention we were fighting inside of a factory? Nope. Okay, so here's what happened. Venom comes up, vampires on the screen, two of them, and there's two spawn brood wombs or vampire wombs. I don't know what else to call them. Now, every single turn, these things get a timer. If they get past 3 before they get killed, 2 new enemies come out. And there's like a 10-20% chance one of them is going to be a super enemy or transform into it. And it's fucking annoying, like I said. But Venom can use his symbiote goo to stick you to the ground. And there's 3 of his enemies, and they got 2 pods, which means right now they could spawn 6 before those vampire wombs go out. And there's only 4 of us. Shit you not, this is what happened in order. I noticed that the little zombie vampire mugs that got the lowest HP, yeah, I didn't want to give them a chance to transform. So I took Captain Marvel and I literally pulled out a support beam and I just tilted it on them and it hit them both and they lost half their HP. Then I used a move from Doctor Strange that creates an effect called Quick. Now the way Quick works is you won't lose a turn if you kill an enemy with any card that says it has the Quick effect on it, right? I go and I use a spell to hit both of them. So I got Quick. It doesn't give you a perk enemy kill, just 1 enemy kill. So now Doctor Strange didn't even waste a turn, but I still haven't used his spell. I turned on his attack booster spell. So even though he doesn't move, next time he get a card or he hits somebody, they gonna get popped. And also it has the added benefit of it adds to the meter that needs to be built up to do team attacks. So that leaves Scarlet Witch. Now I go to Scarlet Witch, I have her explode out over Venom because fuck Venom. And that also freed up Magic because he put that goo stuff on Magic who couldn't move. And when they can't move, you can't use their cards. And here's the weirdness. When you get stunned, you actually have your own little HP gauge. So you literally have to beat up the stun or the thing that's roping and tying somebody down as if it was an actual enemy. But it did so much damage, her explosion did, that boom, Magic got free. So I started having fun with it. Now I know you can't kill a boss by them, falling off stage. Also, he can web sling. He can't fall off a stage and die. But there is an electrical generator in the corner. So I go and I have Magic run to the opposite side of the screen, get right next to this thing, and I have her make a portal that does amplified knockback. So when she makes that portal that does amplified knockback, she's too far away now to hit Venom. But I made sure she was at least lined up with the exit point, right? Now, so then I went back and I used the special ability called Push. It's not really an attack, but the game has it to where if you run up to an enemy, no actions, you can push them. It'll do a little damage and they'll go a couple feet, right? Now remember, Wanda's right there. Her push isn't physical. She just hits you with a smaller blast. I have Wanda blast Venom through the wormhole, which takes damage because it was the version that takes damage. Then he hits the generator, takes even more damage, and he gets temporarily put in electric stun. I think that's what the state was. But remember, Magic is also right there. So I got really lucky. He bounced off the generator just enough for the game to detect him coming near Magic. And like I said, when characters feel an enemy push on them, they hit them as a reflex and the enemy goes into an opposite angle or trajectory. So he didn't even get hit by a physical attack, but he got hit 3 times. Took away all his super armor immediately. Then Venom gets his turn. He called and summoned some minions, and then 2 random other zombie bullshit vampires came out of nowhere. And remember, on the other side of the room, there's those vampire wombs. Now they're down 2 whole turns, which means it's now my turn again. If I don't fuck them up, I'm about to have 2 more enemies on my team. Now, remember what I said. Doctor Strange basically went into a meditate for a super spell bullshit, or for team attacks. So I get my new round of cards coming in. Captain Marvel can now activate her binary mode because she met the minimum requirements, which was do a certain amount of attacks or use cards that will help you get to binary that much quicker. I don't even need it, and I don't even turn it on because I'm going to have all my actions go to everybody else. So here's what I do. I use Magic again, and I have Magic essentially throw those enemies directly into one of the wombs. Those 2 that spawned onto the stage. I could only get 1, but it did a decent chunk of damage because see, every time the wombs are on stage, they lose HP while the turn counter goes down. So it kind of makes it easier for you to kill them, but if they don't get killed by you, that's when the spawns come out. So one of them immediately gets taken out, almost immediately, because it already lost some of its HP, so it's got slithers left. So then I decide, oh, that's right, I got Captain Marvel powered up. Don't even worry about going in binary. I have her do a energy beam wave that cuts through the stage at an angle. It destroyed some of the stage interactable objects, but here's what it also did. It took out both of those new zombies, vampires that showed up on screen and that womb. So now I have a Venom who can't move right now, and I only got to worry about one of those little vampire things. I go to Doctor Strange like, nah, you chill, you meditate, you do your charge up, get your Agamotto on. And I have Scarlet Witch go over there, and I have her spend the next 2 turns just wailing on this vampire wound so nothing comes out. So now it's just me and Venom. Venom is unstunned. He goes into his symbiote rage bullshit, and he tries to essentially make everybody stuck to the floor. However, he only got 1 person. Ironically, it was Magic again. I guess he really just don't want her to move around. Now remember what I said. Doctor Strange has basically been on pause this whole time. But that's okay. I didn't leave his ass on red. So I go over to Doctor Strange and I instigate his team attack with Captain Marvel. That did like 500 damage and his HP was like 1,000 something. But remember what I said. I haven't put Captain Marvel in binary state this whole time. She also has a maneuver where she can do taunt. And if an enemy's nearby, it guarantees that, barring few enemy exceptions, that the enemy has to designate them as an attack target. But again, she also get that binary counter on. So I had her do the cards that allow for binary and also do a counter taunt. So now I only got 1 move left. Where's Wanda? Well, Wanda's still fucking around. But since I didn't use a move point when I had to do the attack, I position it to where she can bump and push fucking Venom directly in Doctor Strange and or Captain Marvel because they're in a close proximity right now. Motherfucker hit both of them. So again, I have barely done a direct attack to the boss and he's already at like 20-30% health. Then I realized, wait a minute, I have a movement action, and he is directly below a box of random shit that they put up in these stages. It's a rope tied up in the middle of a hangar or factory that no factory would still do in this day and age. It's just there because I guess nobody's been in a factory or warehouse in modern times. Now it's going to do a little bit of damage to everybody under it. I kind of don't care. So I have Doctor Strange do some type of energy blast to knock it down. Boom. Now this dude barely got like 100 HP left. Magic is still detained. He gets his turn. He hits Carol. And Carol's like, okay. And she basically bitch slapped him into non-existence. Tell me... Oh shit. Where did the whiteboard go? Oh, there it is. Tell me that doesn't sound like some cold shit. It doesn't even have to be Marvel characters. Just tell me, if you organized and made all that crap happen, you honestly telling me that wouldn't be fun?
Yeah, it's a good old time.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it gets to be fun in a lot of those. They've learned how to make these tactics games better as of late, with more reactive abilities, more multiple abilities per turn chances. If you haven't checked out War Tales, that's a pretty good example.
Yeah, that's another really good one.
Just because Exile referenced it, now I gotta look it up, because if he give a game recommendation, it's probably good.
It is tricky, a little spooky, but it's pretty fun.
All of what you just described, the whole working together, synergizing all those abilities, and like tabletop RPGs have pretty much the same thing. You just have to get, the right group of people who can work off of each other rather than against each other.
And therein lies the Achilles heel of tabletop.
Yeah, you have to get a group.
It's good when it's good.
You have to get a good group. Let's not forget that prefix.
Yeah, which
you have to defeat the most
sometimes can be as simple as finding friends. The most challenging boss of all is
the calendar.
No, it's the calendar.
That's why I just said it's scheduling.
Scheduling.
Oh, okay. I thought
what time works for everyone to get together and do the game.
And then what happens if somebody has a last minute cancellation?
That's why you got to get your group of 5 people and always have like an NPC ready to swap in. If you lose one person, you roll with 4. You lose 2 people, you roll with 1 NPC to get back up to 4.
So, yeah. Well, based on this list, action RPG, tabletop, and strategy is tied. As I did state in the beginning, technically, we weren't supposed to be looking for a winner, and we would not berate somebody for being a lesser RPG. Now, on to the honorable mentions. You go ahead and knock out LARPing, Exile, because you know that shit better than most of us.
Oh yeah, that's my jam. I'm attending another LARP. I don't run this one. They started up like sometime last year. Oh, bless their hearts. They put on a good show. They got a lot of stuff to work on, and I hope it trims up and runs a little better. I sent them.
White Wolf?
No. This one is it's a little steampunk thing. It's a kind of derivative or a spin-off from Dystopia Rising, or rather, that's where these guys previously come from, and they're like doing their own thing. I've never actually gone out and done vampire or werewolf or any of the White Wolf stuff. Everything I've done has been like little custom things. I've done a little Amp Guard, and we use a lot of we use the Amp Guard safety standards a lot for what we play most of the time.
Yeah, it's a pretty good safety standard.
Yeah, it's well written enough to go to town. We've got a lot of people around me who like to play with Nerf guns as well, so we do some of that with a few different games. We restricted the dart types they could use because if you fire off darts in the woods and they get lost, that's shitty to the park service. You gotta make sure your stuff is good and recoverable. Police your brass. Yup. But yeah, the one we're doing right now, it's a little kind of Weird West flavor steampunk thing. So we're like a railroad branch town in a world where There's like an eternal storm that weird monsters pop out of, and it mutates people and stuff like that. They elected me the mayor. I'm having a good old time. Mostly just showing up to look nice. Do the slutty swordsman pose, like a limp wrist over my sword. That's like 80%
That
of the gameplay.
description kind of makes me think a little bit of Deadlands, if you're familiar with that game.
Yeah. I'd say it's I'd say the only difference with Deadlands is that it's less dry because we're not actually in the Midwest, so we have to like acknowledge the fact that we're in the woods. And I think the game masters right now, they take themselves a little too seriously, and they really want to be like horror. And me and the players were ribbing each other, and some of the like other storytellers they know it's like, no, we're gonna do a couple goofy things. Like, we gotta have some fun.
Yeah, with tabletop RPGs, it can be really hard to do horror properly, because most of the time, the people who would be interested in horror, they're usually pretty jaded and wouldn't be, actually scared.
Yeah,
at the various things they encounter.
So for those who don't know, who are listening in, a LARP is like an RPG in real space that you are being the character in the moment, dressed up as the character, you're swinging the sword, you are giving the impassioned speech to like boldly stand up against the antagonist or whatever, which often means that you have to physically, walk around in the woods and do this stuff. So depending on the rule set you're working with, it can be a very physical exercise, it can be a very immersive exercise. Naturally, everything's happening in real time. If you want people to listen to you and go along with you, you're not making a charisma roll. You have to actually be convincing. And I think that's where a lot of the charm of the hobby lies for me, is I saw it as an outlet to engage in self-improvement and learn new skills.
Okay. Well, now with that being said, I am very, very, very curious. Just so we're clear, do we all play MMORPGs? Not right now, but we've all played them in the past, correctly?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I thankfully stopped chasing that dragon.
Now, to be honest, I didn't know where to place that one, but then I came to the realization that it can't really be its own category, because first off, multiplayer is not a genre. It's a term that you can attach to a genre. So the genre is still RPG at its base, but it's just a multiplayer RPG. That doesn't tell me what type of RPG. It just tells me this is a role-playing game, but for more than one person. So the reason that's the main reason why I was left out. But to be fair, I want to remind everybody that most MMORPGs are not in and of themselves, and nor have they really ever been turn-based. They fall in one of the categories we mentioned. Action, and technically, tabletops are multiplayer RPGs. Action, it could be in strategy, although I don't think I've ever seen a strategy MMORPG. And almost all of them are inherently real-time. Or, yeah, they have to be real-time. So that's why. But we're not disrespecting them. In fact, if you went and asked me like 6-7 years ago what the best action RPG MMO was, or if there even was a good one, I tell you, look, spend the time you got to suffer to get onto the Japanese servers of PSO2. For the uninitiated, that's Phantasy Star Online 2. Phantasy Star Online 2 did everything you could possibly think of that an RPG could do, especially if it's an action game. It had the speed and frequency of combat to feel like you're basically playing Kingdom Hearts without all the flashy shit on screen. Yes, there's still flashy shit on screen, but
pretty flashy.
Yeah, but there's substance to it. You're put in an area, they're predetermined most of the time. You beat up a bunch of enemies till you get to a boss, and sometimes there's stuff you have to do outside of just go to the next area, like an arcade beat 'em up. And it went for 10 years, and it was ridiculously fun. Now, I know a lot of people in America just got the game like, fuck, they ain't even had it 5 years. But I'm the guy who played it from literally the beta test in Japan to now. That game is fun. I made a lot of friends. Some of them I still talk to. Yes, we are sad about how NGS turned out. But the American people, we want to work with them. We want to have fun over in regular PSO2 because both sections are working concurrently. But the main issue is just that the energy's not there. You got to remember, on my other character, every single class is maxed out. I have 2 different characters, and I have at bare minimum something like 200 weapons. So when I come over to America, because it was supposed to come out at the same time in like 2011, and I only have not even half that, like 10% of that, the magic is gone for me. But it's not because the game is terrible, it's because that camaraderie's not there. Yes,
Yeah, they made it a good bit less crunchy for NGS, but a little more active in some ways.
Yeah,
having a parry on every character.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, PSO2 is still fun. If you're an American, you never played the Japanese servers, get on the PSO2 regular. Don't touch NGS or you'll regret it. And you will have fun.
Yeah, I would say, honestly, the biggest thing with the MMO genre is the camaraderie of the people that you are playing with. It's working together with these people to, accomplish a goal.
Okay.
And if you don't got that, well,
yeah,
the magic's gone.
Yeah, it's almost like a chore at that point, And that's with me knowing how to speed level, and the game gives you the ability to speed level and stuff. When I boot up PSO2 NGS in America, I'm on NGS. I'm not going to PSO2. Because when I go to PSO2, I'm thinking about the Japanese servers. I can't do that. And I looked at my hour counter. I got over 2,000 hours in the Japanese RPG version. Ain't no way in hell I'm going to be doing that with the American. So we will acknowledge them, but you also have to remember that MMO can be attached to any genre up here. It's not independent. It's not an independent genre because massive multiplayer is not a genre. It's just words. It's what comes after that determines the genre. That's why I still hate to this day, but I acknowledge that people are going to use it because they don't remember that there's already a word for it. Character RPG. I'm not character RPG. Character action game. Motherfucker. What action game do you play where you don't play a character?
Yeah, they gotta call those
It's
stylish
hack and
action
slash,
games or
or it's
stylish
a beat 'em
brawler.
up. That's it. It's a hack and slash, or it's a beat 'em up. Devil May Cry is a hybrid of those two. It is a hack and slash and a beat 'em up. It is not its own genre. It did not invent a new genre. Somebody just started saying character action, and for some reason, the world started repeating it. I want to blame IGN. I
We
can't
can
prove
blame
it.
IGN for everything.
Yeah, I can't prove they did it, but they probably did do it. So yeah, like I said, we weren't expecting to find a real winner, but I guess we could narrow down it to just these 3. Okay, so Exile, if you got to choose between action RPG, tabletop, and strategy, what are you going for?
Probably tabletop.
Okay. All right, Officer, if you got to choose between those 3, what are you going for?
Definitely tabletop.
Fuck both of y'all. Tabletop wins. 'Cause I damn sure was not going to say that.
There's no winner, but fuck both y'all.
Yeah, because technically y'all won. But since it was something I didn't like winning, nobody wins. Yeah. I'd make a great dungeon master.
Yep.
Very
So
Gygaxian type.
Exile, as always, I appreciate you coming through, man. You want to tell the people where they can find you?
Yep, you can find me on twitch.tv/JupiterExile, or you can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/JupiterExileYT. I am playing mostly roguelikes and souls-likes. Recently been working through Elden Ring DLC as a level 1 character, and playing 30XX, which is a Mega Man X roguelike.
Excellent game, that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And when it drops, I'm going to be all over the new Monster Hunter. Absolutely.
Wow, that was perfect timing. Like right when you said that, the GIF came out.
I clicked the GIF when I said it.
I hope they've got something on the level of awesome that is Meowscular Chef and
That'd be
WoW.
great. Really missed him.
Yup.
Yeah. And as always, appreciate you listeners for watching. I guess I have to say this now just because I'm curious about these next 2 episodes relating to RPGs and Mega Man. Hey, don't just text me on the phone. Feel free to say something in the comments if you want to have some input on these videos in the direction of the channel. We're not at the 100,000 mark, but given our unusual growth and how we're going about things, that's something that could come about next year. And at that point, might be the time that I might consider doing a Patreon or some shit. But that's really just because, if I can pay someone to edit instead of myself, let's just say there'll be a lot more videos. All right, with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Y'all stay easy.
Peace.
Latest.